All right, cool. Thanks, all right.
But you are rolling whenever you're ready.
What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. Happy New Year. This is the last podcast of the year. I hope you all are doing well. I hope your teams are doing well. Some teams have to be doing bad in order for others to be doing good. So, hey, man, the year is almost over. We got a new year coming. This podcast can be seen on YouTube at Ian Edwards or Ian Soccer Comic Grant Edwards. You can listen to it on iTunes, Art19, and at allthingscomedy.com. And if you go to allthingscomedy.com, you will see a host of podcasts by some of the funniest comics in the world. Bert Kreischer and Bill Burr have a podcast there. Bill Burr has his own podcast there. Tom Papa has a podcast there. Sam Tripoli, Tinfoil has a podcast there. There's just tons of podcasts at allthingscomedy.com with some of the best comics in the world. So go there and check it out. Our sponsor for the podcast is onvolleyapparel.com. And if you go there, see something you like, use my promo code ComicRant to get 20% off. They got tanks, tees, hoodies, sweatshirts for men and women, and they could also outfit your local soccer team. Two guests that you see before you. You've seen them before. One is Lee Hudson, comic from the UK, Southampton fan. What up, Lee?
Yeah, all good.
Good.
Just enjoying the festive period.
You are? That's good. And you're in England, right?
Yep.
All right. What part of England? I forgot to say.
I'm like just outside London.
Just outside London. All right. And from straight out of San Diego by way of India. Comic also and Chelsea fan. What up, Neil Chakravarty?
Feeling good, man.
You are?
Could have been better, but well, I'm wearing a yellow, feeling a little yellow, but
you've never come on the podcast not wearing something Chelsea. So I don't know if you're feeling great, but we'll see.
I have a few times.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Probably. I just don't know. I'm usually impressed with what you got on. I'm like, oh, Chelsea makes that? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Chelsea's been making all sorts of things.
Lee knows something that bugs me. And, on Instagram or Facebook, the Adidas ads will pop up for all types of gear. And they constantly pop that Man United striped zebra creature, but not just the shirt, the sweat bottoms too. Like if you just see a pair of just striped sweat bottoms just hanging on a hanger, and I'm like, I want to follow the person who buys that to see what their lifestyle is like, because it doesn't make, and the top don't make no sense, and the bottom makes even less sense. So I don't know who's wearing that. But that is one of the worst football things of the year. So I was watching football today. Games just finished, and well, let's just say one thing first. I just forgot. Last week we forgot to mention like LAFC was in the CONCACAF Champions League final. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And they lost to Tigre. Is it El Tigre? Tigres. Yeah. So congratulations, Tigre. But, congratulations, LAFC, for getting to the final. Better luck next time. But so then...
Good run to the final, too.
Good run to the final?
Yeah. I think got rid of like some 3 Mexican teams, and then they faltered on the 4th one, something like that.
Right.
Yeah. The Mexican teams are always the strongest, aren't they, in that tournament, pretty much?
Yeah, it's like their tournament, really, And it's like...
I think there's usually a couple of teams from Costa Rica who are quite strong.
Right.
Well.
Yeah.
There's Saprissa and there's someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gotta start looking at MLS more and looking into that contest more too, and seeing like how we doing it. But
you're making a start with the jersey tonight.
Yeah, I like the LAFC. Like I know people there. Like Seth is a real cool dude, and some other people there. Me and Martin have been to games. Seth has hooked me up, and I come there with other comics. Me and Rogan was supposed to go, but he canceled like twice. Sundays is a bad day for him. But it's LAFC, man, is live. It's like it's got that European atmosphere. speaking of European atmosphere, so COVID cases are rising. Yesterday morning, I woke up and I'm like, there's 3 games, but one of them is on too early. But if I skip that Leicester game, I'm still going to get to see 2 games. So in the middle of the second game, which was my first game, I see a sign that crawls across the screen that's saying there's no 3rd game because of COVID cases. What team was that, Lee? The Man City?
Everton, Man City, yeah.
Everton, Man City, right?
Yeah, it was Man City that had the COVID cases.
Okay. So now there was talk today of scrapping the FA Cup because there's teams in the FA Cup who don't have the money and they're from lower divisions and they don't test as well and they can't protect their players as well. And if they come in contact with Premier League players, it could ruin the Premier League. It's almost like the way I'm describing it sounds like the people who got locked in the bottom of the Titanic compared to the rich people who got out on life rafts. But what do you guys think about scrapping the FA Cup for the season to protect the upper level elite Premier League people on the top of the Titanic?
I hope it doesn't happen because there was some really interesting games coming up, like Marine FC, who are like a non-league team. I think they drew Spurs. Which would have been, that's I mean, even without the fans able to go to it, that's a life-changing game for the players to play in. But I guess, bigger things are at play here.
Yeah, it could be life-changing if one of those players gives a Spurs players COVID.
But
what do you think, Mark? Neil?
I don't understand why it is. I mean, we know this is the FA has enough money, right? It's not like infinite number of, we are at that stage of the draw where it isn't like those, 200, 300 teams that start the cup. Now you're down to a finite number of teams. Why can't the FA dig into their pool and, fund the testing for, a period of, say, a week or 2 weeks? Should be pretty easy for them.
Well, go ahead.
And I think there is some precedent to what happened in the League Cup. I think one of the Premier League clubs funded the testing for the opponent they were facing.
Right.
I don't quite remember which pair was it, but this has happened like in this season itself.
I just want to know, did I phrase it right? Is it the lower teams can't afford the testing league?
No, it is true they can't afford it.
Oh, okay. So
I think they can perhaps afford it in some cases. It's just the availability of it at times is a little bit difficult because at the moment, like, things are going crazy here. Like, we hit our record number of cases today.
Congrats, man.
Yeah. Breaking records.
We out here killing it. We're going home.
You know what's crazy with this entire record number of things? So I follow cricket a lot too, right? So India is playing in Australia right now, test series. And so they have the teams have their own bubbles, but they actually have fans in stadiums. So like reduced capacity, like the Melbourne Cricket Ground usually hosts 100,000, but they have 30,000 in the stands, which is still a crazy number if you think about it, right? For this year.
They had really severe lockdown out there, though, I think, prior to that.
So, but now reports are coming, the 3rd game, which is going to be played in like a week's time in Sydney, they might have to change the venue because there's been a COVID outbreak. And I looked at the numbers, they're talking about 27 people have had the virus in the entire state. And they're trying to actually move the game because of that. I'm like, dude, this. So I think people even don't stop counting if it's just such a small number in the US right now.
Oh, so you don't think 27 is a serious enough number, or what are you saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just crazy to think that they call 27 as an outbreak.
That's what you thought. That's what they thought on The Walking Dead, and everybody, the whole world turned into. So just be careful with that. Another thing. They're thinking about scrapping the FA Cup. They also mentioned today about teams taking a 2-week break just to probably halt it amongst the players and slow down any, and also people who are out, players who already have it can recover and come back, and then maybe everybody quarantine for 2 weeks and then do like a project restart thing. What up, Martin?
Hey.
What do you guys think about that idea?
All-star team today.
I think it'd be sensible to do that for 2 weeks, just because at the moment, like in the lower leagues, there's like in League One, League Two, and the Championship and stuff, there's random games getting called off all over the place. And obviously the first one in the Premier League was the Everton City game. So I think the way cases are going here, it's going to become more common. So it makes sense to maybe do it and then just sort of reset after that.
And Fulham Tottenham might get called off tomorrow too.
I hope so.
But go ahead, Neil.
I feel like there's a simple solution to this, and I don't understand why the European leagues, it's not just the Premier League, haven't really looked at it. Is fine, you don't want to go to a bubble like the MLS did, where everybody is, playing in one place. That's fine. But why can't you still have an enforced bubble for teams, like, not have players? The stakes. I know it's a lot of sacrifice in terms of, not being able to go back to your families and stuff. But like the entire world is sacrificing so much, and the numbers of the money that is at stake. Like just have them all, have the entire team locked up in a hotel someplace. These guys are not going to be the first sports teams who will have to go through something like this. I don't even know why this is not on the table.
This sounds so selfish. This is like for fans. This is a fan solution. Like get them away from their families, sequester them, keep them in a hotel room.
I haven't met my parents in over a year because of COVID. Everybody's going through that.
I want to see games. I want to see people playing. I want to see players away from their family. And I'm criticizing you, but I'm with it too. I'm just
it's not. But it's not unique though. Isn't that what happened in the NBA?
It's not happening now.
Martin, you're gonna get your chance because I'm gonna introduce you. It's just that Neil wants every sports person to be turned into a jury.
It's the new normal, and the downside is, are these kind of guys take a pay cut? They're not, right? So are they gonna?
Being away from your family is normally not a part of the play. It is, but it's not to this extent. But
these are unreal times. How many people in normal walks of life haven't been able to, go and meet their families, and because of the nature of it.
Yeah, but that's like families. That's not like your wife and kids that you live with. Like you're saying, like, oh, just don't see your kids for another 4 months or something.
But isn't that what you do? I think footballers are very privileged that they don't have. They don't live in a sport. Hear me out. They don't usually a lot of international sport. You go on month-long, 2-month-long tours. You look at any of the tennis players. They're on tour without their families for 10 months a year, and if they have to play in a COVID year with that, then all they're going to be doing is being locked up, and they don't even have their teammates to be around each other. The cricket team I was talking about, they're down, in Australia and New Zealand for the past 2 months. So it's not like the other sporting codes are not making these changes. It's that we are not used to it in European football. So nobody's like trying to think out of the box.
All right.
Mark, but then when they will think out of the box, when it actually starts affecting revenues.
Money.
Heck no. So this is what I'm going to say. Heck no.
The question is, do you think the Premier League should take a 2-week break?
No.
And then Neil went radical on us.
No, absolutely not. Maybe, you don't have to, maybe bringing fans back was premature. Or maybe not, depends. I would have to see the data. Here's the thing, obviously I sympathize with those who lost, members of their families, friends, and due to coronavirus, I know people like that, and I know it's serious, and I sympathize with them. But at the same time, let me tell you this: NBA came back. Yeah, they did the bubble thing, but right now they're playing in their in their own buildings, and in some of those buildings there are fans. In Cleveland there are fans. In Orlando there are fans. In, I believe, Charlotte, there are fans. 4 or 5 buildings, because I was just checking on NBA.com that you can actually buy tickets to those games. So in Tampa, where Toronto Raptors are playing, they also have fans. The fans can come and see the game with the mask on, et cetera, et cetera. They just shut down today. The governor of our beautiful state of California shut down pretty much the whole film industry for the month of January, which is preposterous because he didn't shut down his own winery at the same time. So here is a problem. Like I was working on set in December. If you test people properly, here's the thing: test people properly every day, and based on the results of tests, make decisions. Test them every day. If someone tests positive, he's not going to be included for the next 3-4 weeks, and just continue, keep going.
Martin, the testing is heading towards shutting the whole thing down. They didn't just bring this question up out of nowhere. Like the game tomorrow, Tottenham versus who you supposed to be playing? Fulham. Fulham. Scott Parker, he doesn't have it, but he was exposed to somebody in his family that has it. So he's coaching from home. Family. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's hilariously selfish, and I'm fucked up too.
But I think Martin has a point because what he's talking about regular testing.
But I think they do regular tests, right?
No, but this is what they did. When they did Project Restart, they were testing twice a week. And they did continue that for the first month of this season. They went back to testing once a week across the Premier League. And now they're bringing back, and now they're bringing back twice. Forget every day.
Why forget every day? I had to test every day when I was working on a film. I had to test every day, and they were paying me money for that. So you can pay also players to get tested.
I understand that. I'm saying like they got so overconfident of having this whole situation. No games were getting cancelled that they actually relaxed even the 2 times a week testing to 1 time, and now they're bringing it back. They're bringing back 2 times a week testing. So it's we've seen this over the world that the moment you relax, this thing is gonna be on you.
Because it's contagious. What I'm saying. But let me ask Lee a question.
Let me just finish with one point. Test every day, but keep going. Test every day, but keep going.
I think Martin in Poland, they would test every day and still play and work no matter what the results of the tests are.
It's possible, actually. Yeah.
Based on what you told me about Poland, Lee, what were you going to say about the testing in England?
I think Neil covered it there. They're starting to do it more regularly again now.
Okay.
Because they relaxed it slightly, but yeah, the whole country's going nuts right now. So
yeah,
because there's a mental health aspect, and the bubble in NBA. And I spoke with players who were in the MLS bubble, and MLS bubble was only a month, and players were pretty upset about leaving their families and going to Orlando to play in the bubble. I can't imagine football stars going to a bubble that anybody will agree to.
Were they more upset about leaving their family or being in Orlando?
Yeah.
All right, what was the upset part?
I would say Orlando is not that bad, but leaving their families, especially when you have young kids. And I spoke to one player that his wife would just give birth to their kid, and he had to be in Orlando for a month. So pretty uncomfortable situation. And I know for sure for a fact because I spoke with the people. I spoke with the people inside the basketball circles that it was brought up to their attention if they want to do another bubble, and they said heck no. They said like no one wanted to play in the bubble again, and some of those players, including Paul George, openly made comments about having struggles with their mental health while being in the bubble. So there is the mental health aspect that's going on.
Yeah, there's a mental health aspect to life period without this. This just adds to it. So listen, I have a list of topics. We can't talk about individual teams. What you get to talk about individual teams within the topics. And you don't want to keep Emma like here doing this. So say your best thing first. You know what I'm saying? So this question is about Crystal Palace, but it's also about Villa. What do you think was worse? Crystal Palace losing 7-0 to Liverpool, or losing 3-0 to a 10-man Villa?
I think Aston Villa plays very exciting football this season, so I will have to give it more as a positive on the Villa side. Makes me feel bad, of course, about us losing 2 points to Crystal Palace for sure. But at the same time, they're one of those teams that they can show different faces, and right now they're showing the ugly face in the last couple of weeks.
Right. Neil, what you got to say about it?
I think definitely losing to a 10-man Villa team. I mean, I understand what Madan's saying. Villa is showing itself up to be a very competent team all over the pitch this season. But you see where these two teams finished last season. You think Crystal Palace would go into a game against Villa, not feeling like they're on the back foot, and then eventually losing 3-0. I don't think there's any shame losing 7-0 to Liverpool. Like Southampton lost.
Wow, he's here. He's right above you, bro. Why would you bring Why would you bring 9-0 up?
Yeah, but you see how Southampton has come back from that, right? Like you can shrug certain really bad. You can catch a good team on their day, and you can shrug it up. But I would think like not being able to do anything against a Villa team with 10 men would hurt more.
And what do you think, Lee?
All I'll say is when the 7-0 game was happening, I was just cheering for more. I was like, "Come on, we need 10. I need the record. I need the record gone."
That's hilarious. It's so funny to have everybody with different perspective. I would have never have thought of it that way. That's fucking hilarious. What
I will say though as well is that they got a decent draw against Leicester this weekend, so they're not completely on a slide right now. They were solid at the weekend, or whatever day it is right now.
Who got a decent draw?
Palace.
Palace, okay. Yeah, you got two draws.
Yeah, so
I mean Palace, yeah, sorry.
So yeah, they're back on track. Zaha coming back into a bit of form. I really like Eze there as well.
Eze, man. Eze is like,
he didn't play against Leicester, but I really like him as a player. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I don't think they'll get deported, at the end of the season. I think they'll be there. But, I'm going to go with Martin and Neil and just give the credit to Villa. You know what I mean? Like, and when we give the credit to Villa, we have to talk about a few things. Like Spurs is included because Villa's reaction to going one man down was completely different to what other team went one. Did Spurs go one man down during the game this season?
I think Arsenal's gone one man down.
United did against Spurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Arsenal they went down with 10 men like in 3 consecutive games or so, which did cost them dearly in those games.
Sorry, I lost you guys for a second. I'm back.
Yeah, Arsenal are definitely specialists in
Arsenal. So it's an indictment on Arsenal's reaction to going down 10 men. Also, we could talk about this team that went down. Like when Villa goes down a man, it looks like they added a man. And if I was Crystal Palace at halftime when Villa came back on the field, I would have counted the men on the other side of the field just to make sure they came back out with 10 men because they played like they came back on with 11 and nobody checked. And but you also, when you see these results that Villa is pulling off, and then we talk about the result against Chelsea. This is where we get to talk about Chelsea this weekend versus Villa and how disappointing everybody is in Frank Lampard for not beating Villa. But I feel like all the pundits are being disrespectful to Villa. They're looking at Villa as if this is the Villa that survived relegation by goal line technology falter to Sheffield, right? They're not looking at this team where El Ghazi is scoring and dribbling like he's Grealish on the right-hand side, where McGinn, who was injured for most of last season and played too early for coming back from an injury, is now at full mask, and Grealish is continuing to be improving and at full mask, and Douglas Luiz, who was his first year actually playing in the Premiership, is now better. They got Ross Barkley on the bench. I don't even know if he can get back into this team. They have a Traore that's stepping up. And
the last few weeks, Traore's been really good.
It's fucking amazing. And the goalkeeper, anything that comes in the air, this motherfucker is like a bird that just flies out, grabs it, and just lands on its perch. Like it's smooth flight. So, like,
I think they're the best
Lampard's
defense.
I have him on my fantasy team, Martinez.
Martinez,
he's always getting a lot of points.
Great buy for them.
Yeah. Do you wish you had him, Neil, instead of Mendy?
No, I'm happy with Mendy for now. But Martinez, again, I think we had this conversation back then, right? This guy has shown himself to be a very competent goalkeeper. So I haven't seen enough mistakes. I know Mendy made like 1 or 2 mistakes in the last few weeks.
3, but I'm not counting.
I think it was to the third goal from against Arsenal and the penalty he gave away versus Everton. I don't think he could have done a lot more about the others. But
one more, but all right.
But yeah, I mean the game. I was frankly happy with the point because I was happy with the point after that game, especially on the back of what happened against Arsenal, which I think was our worst performance for a very long time. And the team needed to see a reaction. And I felt like Lampard would be happy with what he saw from the team. They're doing a lot of good things. It just like we lack a little cutting edge in our forward line. But that's not gonna happen. It's not gonna come overnight. Like a lot of these players are still at a stage where they're still going through the motion, which is why someone like Ziyech, who's got a lot of experience, was going to be critical. So hopefully when he comes back, we can actually start converting some of these chances to actual goals. And then the goal we conceded was again, another, it became a numbers game. Christensen, I don't know, he's done this in the past too. Like he goes down and for some reason he stays down. But you have to show more desperation as a Premier League centre back, than that. And so he never comes back. And we already know we are playing without Zuma, who's our, Zuma and Reece, who are our best players in the defenders in the air. Silva's not there. And essentially when the ball goes into the air, you're like hoping for a miracle for that not to. It brought me like all the flashbacks from last season.
Yeah, and Conte didn't come back all the way too. But
Conte was ball watching a little bit.
Yeah. But so damn, I thought of something while you were saying it and I lost it. So anybody else want to jump in on so this is what I want to say about you said the right thing when you said it's gonna take time, right? Because that's why I don't panic about Man U, which is the next topic. But Frank has a completely new team, and there was a moment a few games ago when it felt like, oh, they figured it out and they're about to just fly through the table. And then now they are stumbling again, which means that was a false start by everyone. But let me just finish. And it's fine for the pundits to panic, right? It's fine for the pundits to panic, right? And like demand that the team do better now, right? But it's wrong for Frank to look like when he's on the sideline watching his team, like he stayed out past 4 a.m. and he has to come up with an excuse to tell his wife why he's late home. Like when your coach has his arms folded and he's walking back and forth during the game, and in one of the games he kind of threw his team under the bus, but in the next game after, he kind of like saved them back. Like the problem is not what the pundits think. It's how your coach is reacting to the results. And what do you other guys think?
Well, let me tell you this. If Frank Lampard was any other guy, if there was a coach X in his position, he would be fired most likely, because it's not a very patient owner. Roman Abramovich demands a lot and fires people. But I'm sure they have some sort of relationship built throughout the years. He was one of the key players when Abramovich joined Chelsea, and Chelsea became
They're
successful.
only sixth. They're only six, Martin.
So yeah, I understand, but he fired people for less than that, for much less than
No,
that.
they did.
I mean, the last
no.
manager we actually fired in the middle of a season was 16th.
Yeah, Martin.
But what before that? When you fired Mourinho for the first time,
that was that was like a all-star team, and he wasn't even fired for results. That was a personality issue.
Yeah, Martin, they're 6 points out of first, Martin.
Okay, but they lost 3 out of 4.
So what?
They lost 3 out of 4.
They're 6 points out of first, and if Abramovich is a billionaire, right? So he's a smart guy. If he's watching the league and seeing how the season is playing out, why would you fire him?
No, I'm saying he probably won because they have a relationship. But if he thought that the team is not going in the right direction, and for me, it's hard to say they're going in the right direction because I don't see much yet. I don't see a consistency, But it's not only Chelsea. I think the other teams, some of other teams are having the same problem. I would say all the teams except of Liverpool have the same problem. But with the amount of money spent on new players, I know that Abramovich definitely wants results, and he definitely needs Frank Lampard to finish in the top 4, which is not a sure thing.
That's fair. I think if we don't finish in the top 4, Lampard will get sacked. I don't think that's a stretch, but I don't think anything is going to happen in the middle of a season. So Lampard, you're right. Like the relationship he has, with the club, probably with Abramovich, that does get him a lot of credit. And actually, that's the reason why he got the job. There's no other manager with 1 year of championship experience would ever get this job in the first place. But I think that's where it kind of stops. I don't think if he doesn't meet his targets at the end of this season, he's gonna, have any more rope to play with than any other manager.
Do you know what the targets are?
I think the target this season was again finish top 4, but like close the gap to the front to like.
And then you have to win next season.
You have to at least win or like come extremely close next season.
Yeah, I think ultimately,
Lee, what you got?
With the amount of money that's been spent, Abramovich is the sort of person who expects a return on that. And I think, it's difficult because when you sign the amount of players they have and they're key players as well, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to fall into place, especially with players like Havertz, who hasn't really fully shown what he's about yet. Werner's been inconsistent. He's looked really good some weeks and then he's sort of faded a little bit. So I think as long as by the end of the season they're there or thereabouts with Champions League places and there's showing some sort of like progression, then I think he'll probably just about survive. But yeah, Abramovich won't take too much of a sort of standing still.
Especially with the performance like against Arsenal, which was a horrible performance from Chelsea, really, really bad. I mean, they were really embarrassing in that particular game. And
Neil was drinking heavily after that, I think.
I went like
Tierney was destroying you guys.
I'm usually a whiskey guy, and this entire holidays I've been alone at home. I've been having a lot of that day. I went straight up tequila. Like I just couldn't take it anymore.
Neil just went straight over the border to Tijuana after that game.
He's like, I'm in San Diego. It's right there. Why would I drink fake tequila when I could just go get the real one? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So the next thing is and I'll start it off. United being second. So it's New Year's. We just played our last game for the year, and we are second after we have one of our best players, his agent saying he wants to leave. Board did not get our coach, all the players, or the player that everybody, including probably the coach and everybody, wanted. And we ended up with Cavani, and we started slow. We had coronavirus. We got kicked out of Champions League, and everybody wants our coach fired. And sometimes our coach plays players I don't want in the rotation, but the fact that he did rotate them has actually made us fresh for this part of the season. So what do you think of Solskjaer, or just Man United being second, 2 points behind Liverpool at this stage of the game, even though it's early? And
I kind of feel like your game against us, where you were obviously down at half time and then turned it around, I feel like that was a bit of a catalyst for you guys. Because I think if you don't turn that game around, then I think Solskjaer's in real trouble, because it was off the back of a few inconsistent results and stuff. But I think the way you turned that game around and won it in the end, and it's just, you've not looked back since.
Right. And then today we won, and everybody's like, you know, bad luck Wolves because it was a deflected goal. But it's funny, 3 days ago, we were winning 2-1, and we dropped 2 points because of a deflected goal by Leicester that went their way. You know what I mean? Like, we would have won 3 days ago against Leicester instead of a tie. By this, about the same amount of time left on the clock, same stage in the game, and Vardy's shot wasn't even on target. It bounced off our defender and went in. But, you know, Solskjaer, listen, he makes mistakes, but he's learning. The great coaching to like, let's put Bailly in the back. Against the last 2 teams we faced, the defense, the forwards were fast, and he's played Bailly. Bailly was outstanding today. Maguire was outstanding today. Matic, nobody got past Matic. Like, isn't he supposed to be old? It's like, I think when you rest him, he can play good when you play him. And it's just, so, and then this today is just one of those games where it didn't look pretty, but 3 points is 3 points. And that's cliche, but it is 3 points.
Yeah,
Martin, anything you got to say about the great mighty man, you being above you, soaring above you in the table and looking down at pathetic ass Spurs? Nothing?
Well, you first you have to take revenge on us directly in the next game. Then
we're fine.
Move on that.
Nah.
I mean, I have to give you guys credit. Obviously, you have the offensive weapons. You know, obviously, you're offensively very, very strong team. We had a conversation a couple of days ago, me and you, on the phone, that we kind of agreed that defensively you still are searching for the right answers. And I would say if you had Rio Ferdinand at his prime on this team, you would compete with Liverpool for the title. I feel like if you get that guy, you're a potentially championship team, because there is talent, there is young talent, there are vets on the team, there is a guy in his prime in Fernandes. So all you really need is a center back that will command the whole formation, that will command the defensive line. Maguire had a good game today, but I still see his flaws. I still think that he's just too slow to play at the marquee level. He can be a very good player, but to be the Rio Ferdinand, the Nemanja Vidic at his prime, to be Gary Pallister at his prime, he still lacks a little bit of natural abilities to do that.
All right. Neil, you got anything? And you know,
I think
it's
today,
all praise. We'll take it.
I think today's lineup is your best lineup, according to me, because it somehow fits both Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in it. You're not actually wasting 2 DMs to do one guy's job, and as you said, like that can only be pulled off if that DM you are playing is actually doing. Is at the top of his game.
What do you mean by that? We're not using 2 DMs to do one.
Because you used to, like, there was a time when you were using both Scott McTominay and a combination of 2 of McTominay, Fred, and Matic, and having only one other guy in midfield, like as a number 10, Bruno, who has a little bit of a goal threat. Now you have both Bruno and Pogba.
But you know, Pogba, today Pogba was double DMing until
he's not double D. He's playing as an 8 in a double pivot. That's not the same as, you know.
No, he's not. He's really being defensive. It was the second half when either Wolves sat back or we made them sit back. He started going forward, but he's playing that.
That's what you get with Pogba.
The French system, you know, which is defense and then once in a while go forward.
And that's fine, but that's what you'll get with Pogba, and that's not what you'll get with. You won't have that same amount of attacking quality with somebody like Fred or.
Are you sure? Have you seen Fred play? You know what they call Fred?
Are you saying that Fred is as good everywhere on the ball?
No, you changed that. Well, we're talking about DMing. Now you're talking about on the ball and DMing.
No, I'm just saying. I don't feel a team like United, and I know the reason why Solskjaer does that. He probably doesn't trust the backline as much. But I think you've had a few weeks of decent performances from the backline, and maybe you can take that guy off, because it'll be. I mean, this United team, if both Pogba and Bruno can play together, you're talking about a different level of team suddenly.
Yeah, we need.
I think it depends who they're playing as well. Like adjust the team depending on the opposition as well and what you expect to come up against. Because if they're playing against a team that's just going to sit off and park the bus, then you don't need two holding midfielders. But against teams where you're going to be up against it, you might.
But Wolves gives you the whole.
I agree. Yeah,
Wolves gives you the full thing of football when you're playing them. They're gonna attack you. They'll sit back. They'll play according to the game. So today we definitely would double DM it. Well, trust me, when you see Pogba there, he's not there to attack. We double DM. Period.
To give you credit, you asked for. You did what we didn't do. We didn't kill the game off. We didn't win. We drew. We lost points against Wolves. You guys beat them. So definitely credit for that.
Oh, thanks, Martin. I know that hurt you a lot. But listen,
it did. Not you winning, but us losing points.
Yeah. This is my favorite topic to talk about with all of this. We're almost at the middle of the list. Tottenham dropping points again.
Yeah.
Martin, you first.
Well, I would tell you that I was pretty upset 2 days ago. I was really, really upset because it's not working, man. It's just not working. And it's...
So before you go any further, I'm going to let you finish. What did I tell you a few weeks ago?
What did you tell me?
Tell me a lot
of things.
That this was unsustainable and it wasn't going to work in the long run. And now you're saying it's not working. So I just,
Well, let me tell you this. And it's gonna be a long talk for me. Depends what the long run is. I would be happy with Mourinho winning Carabao Cups, which gives us the first trophy in a while. And I think he can do that. Can he win a Europa League? Possibly. Can he somehow finish top four? Maybe. It's not impossible. I think he can. But what I don't like, and there's only I just mentioned 3 things that are positives, but I'm going to mention one negative. And this negative is actually equal to me to those 3 positives in a negative way, of course. I don't like the way we play football. I don't think we play football as we should. I think you can justify playing defensive formation against City and against Liverpool even if we gave them pretty much all the possession. They had 78% of possession. But I can justify that for this specific game, for this specific opponent. But you can't play that every game. You can't play that against Crystal Palace. You can't play that against Leicester, against knowledgeable, good, well-coached teams. You can play that. You can play that against team with a lot of talent like City, but you don't do that against Crystal Palace. You don't do it against Wolves. It made no sense when you score a goal in the first minute and then you defend for 89 minutes. From what Mourinho said after the game, he said it wasn't him, it was the players who decided to play that way, which is kind of strange and weird. He was actually complaining about them not attacking.
I'm not buying that.
Let me finish. So here is the problem I have. He changed the lineup for this particular game, and he played with 3 center backs and 2, and Reguilón on the left and on the right Doherty. So he had 5 defensive players plus 2 defensive midfielders, 7 defensive players, and then he's substituting Ndombele, who is the only creative guy in that midfield, with another defensive player. So you have 8 defensive players. With the offensive talent we're having, which I think is comparable to the Man U offensive talent, kind of comparable.
I'd say higher than
No. Liverpool has better talent, but we are at the same level, I would say, us and Man U.
I mean, Kane and Son is comparable to Mane and Salah in my book.
Yeah, but we don't have the 3rd guy though, and they have 3 guys at that level. So they're better. We have, it's like Fernandes and Rashford. We Son and Kane. Different players, but I would say if you put them on a weight, they will weigh the same kind of. But we just cannot play that way against those teams. It's just to give the ball away. We have too much creative talent. We have too much offensive talent to play that way. And
that's exactly what I told you, bro.
And hopefully there will be an adjustment, because it's not even that he can't get results. I think he can, as I said, win one of the cups or two of the cups, but it's just no fun to watch them. It's just no fun to watch that team, and it should be way more fun.
But Martin, but that's exactly what I told you. Why I said it's unsustainable. I said that back in the day when he was coach of Chelsea, they would attack first, get 1 or 2 goals, and then fall back. Now he's just all counterattack. So I told you it's unsustainable when there's teams in the league that go for the win, like Liverpool. You have to get as many points as possible because some of those ties are going to hurt you. But Neil, go ahead. You was going to say something.
But let me just finish.
No. Let Neil say it, and then you'll come back, and then let Lee get it in.
Yeah, I was saying that I don't know if what's going on behind the scenes, but it seems like a situation that, I mean, he has solutions in the squad. Like, if you're struggling to, as you said, you did the whole numerical thing, right? Like, he's going back to 7 or 8 defensive players. You would think that at least, maybe not to start, but at some point during the game, somebody like Dele Alli can make the difference as that number 10, and you just have that extra creative output. Because you're literally, the entire game plan seems to be that you want Kane to create and score and do hold up play. I don't know, like,
and Dombele is the guy to create, and I think they're trying to get, and they will most likely get Sabitzer in the next upcoming couple of weeks.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
What's happening with Dele Alli though? Why is he completely being
he's not defending?
favor?
He's not defending. He's making mistakes. He made mistakes in the Europa League. He made a mistake. He didn't really help the team when he came on against Liverpool. He's just tactically, he's not buying into this. Like, listen, your job as a player.
He wants to attack.
You have to do everything in modern football. You have to do everything. And he just doesn't buy into that style of football. And if you're a player, you have to be a professional. You have to. This is your coach. This is your manager. You do what he wants you to do. And he just didn't do it so far. So it worked maybe under Pochettino. He worked in that system. He doesn't work in this system. So, but let me tell you this. I'll be happy if Mourinho wins 1 or 2 trophies, but I would gladly take Hudson for next year. Because I watched Southampton today. I like the way they play.
Lee, what do you have to say to that?
Lee, jump in.
Lee, protect your man. This guy, he's hitting on your coach right in your face, bro.
Oh, he doesn't want to make a sideways move like that, does he? Really?
Is that how you protect your man?
But all I would say about Spurs is I find it funny that, like, 1 month ago, their fans were saying that style of football was going to win the league.
Because we played it against the right teams, and now we played it not against the right teams.
But talking about Dele Alli though, maybe Pochettino will take him to PSG with him when he gets that job in a few days. We'll see.
I will say this though. Jose Mourinho has a track record of giving up too early on attack-minded midfielders.
De Bruyne, he tried to convert. He literally tried to convert. Salah was at least a winger, but what he did was Juan Mata was playing as a number 10. Mm-hmm. And he had like an insane couple of seasons. He was back-to-back, player of the year. Like a lot of goals, a lot of assists. He got rid of him because he wanted the number 10 to do a lot of the defensive work. And he got Oscar to play there. And Oscar was a very, like a proper, box-to-box midfielder who could do both sides. But he wanted him to be further ahead, yet do a lot more of the defensive work. And he became a totally confused player, ended up being
so confused he went to China.
Yeah, and then he was like, because he couldn't find a place in Conte's team, despite being so incredibly talented. And it's like,
he also did the same thing to Ozil, made him cry.
Ozil.
Yeah, and at Real Madrid, like, hey, you cute, nice, cute composing passes and plays, but I need you to defend. Like Mourinho, I don't know. He's
still crying. Ozil, by the way, he's still crying.
Yeah, I know. In Jose's defense, a lot of people felt the same way or learned to feel the same way about Ozil as Mourinho did. So fine.
Yeah, there's a good Mourinho and a bad Mourinho. You know, like the good Mourinho wins games tactically. The bad Mourinho is that he overthinks. Actually, I think he overthinks.
I don't think he's overthinking.
games.
It's like he's got one tactic. He's down to one tactic, and he needs to like start juggling it and mixing it up and doing more.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one more thing, because I watched the Southampton game today and I actually enjoyed it. I think you guys play really attractive football, although risky football, because you play high line of defense. Sometimes you can get caught up. But I'll tell you what, I'm not sure why Walker Peters is not on the team and Aurier is. I mean, I think Walker Peters is a better player, and Aurier already cost us a couple of points in this season. You know.
So the fact that you gave him away or sold him and he could have played for you guys, but that's another thing. You see, I'm glad you mentioned the Southampton game because you just reminded me of a player. So you know how Neil, I think, was saying how Mourinho gives up on offensive players, right? But you're saying you like Hudson, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like I would consider Walcott an offensive player that didn't defend, but he's in a system now where he has to, and Hudson is making him a 30-year-old guy at the end of his career do everything that Mourinho can't make Dele Alli do. So you're right to want him as a coach for your team because he's making players in a similar position do the things and keep them on the field and rejuvenating a career. Just as an example of and I would feel like Dele Alli is actually better at this time, or could be better if he was being coached by the right person than Walcott is doing right now. And Walcott, so it's just kind of bananas.
Could be, but I'll tell you, there's a long string of English players that were promising young players and never paid off, and Walcott is kind of an example of that because he's not like killing the league. I mean, he scored 1 goal so far this season. He's not like doing fantastic. I wouldn't say he's
no, but he's
unbelievable.
He's a team player and he fits in with everything.
Yeah, sure.
But go ahead, Lee, you comment on that.
Well, let me just finish. But the expectations.
The point is he's starting.
He's starting on Southampton team. I'm sure Dele Alli would start too on Southampton.
But you're saying a Southampton team, but they have the same amount of points as you.
True.
It's not just the Southampton.
But different set of expectations, different
but
size
fine,
of the class,
expectations or not, the points show
I agree.
that you guys are performing on the same level.
They're overachievers for sure. I agree. They're overachievers. They're playing well. I love watching them. I enjoyed their game today much better than our game. But let me tell you this: there's a bunch of names I can name: Tom Cleverley, Ravel Morrison, who were very promising young player. Adel Tarabt. There are a bunch of young players that you speak highly of, and they never developed to be.
I never spoke highly of those guys.
And but they were, even playing for England. Some of them, Winks played for England too, and he's now, shelling himself.
Yeah, but I never, none of these guys you mentioned did I ever go crazy about. So that's the press, talking about that.
Yeah, but I'm saying Dele Alli is in danger of becoming, one of the players
and that's you guys' problem.
Should be players.
And that's Spurs' problem.
And his problem. Luckily. Yes, I think he's the one to blame for it. Actually, his attitudes. From what I've seen in the documentary and from what I've seen on the pitch in those games.
All right, Mark, we got to switch. We got to switch because we only got half.
I would like to actually
Martin,
see him
we got to switch.
Okay,
Martin, we got to switch.
Send him on loan.
So I wanted to discuss Arsenal winning, but we kind of did. So the next topic is Sheffield United. We can't just stay at the top of the table. Sometimes we got to take a trip down to the bottom of the table to see what life is like down there. And how do you guys feel? Like Sheffield United dropped all the points again.
I wanted to say something about Arsenal though.
No. Let's Sheffield United this shit.
Okay.
They have.
Do they deserve it?
Like, here's the crazy thing. My homeboy Lloyd said they were going to go down this year at the beginning, before the season started. Like, what is happening over there? Chris seems like a good coach. Lee, any idea?
I think people have just figured them out this season. And they haven't been versatile enough to switch it up. The players don't seem to have been. I don't know if maybe last year it was all new to them and there was a bit more of an added impetus there. And maybe this season it's just worn off. But something's not going right. They're just the worst team in the league at the moment, I would say, other than West Brom maybe after today.
Oh, they're the worst team in the history of the league, not just the worst team in the league. They have 2 points after that many games. That never happened before. Never, ever. Yeah. Not even close.
Is Chris Wilder in danger of getting fired?
No, he shouldn't be. The problem with Sheffield United is, I think it's actually kind of a repeating theme in Premier League. That sometimes the team advances, and with the group of players who play together in the championship, they surprise people, and they can kind of, on the wave of euphoria, accomplish something. But then if you don't buy players to complement them, this is a very competitive league. You got
to keep evolving.
Yeah, you have to keep improving. You know, like those are the players who played in League One.
They bought Brewster.
I think that was a complete waste of money, like, because when you want to actually, you know, as Martin said, you want to evolve, you want to add to what you have, you don't go and buy a project guy. Brewster is a project guy. Like, he may turn good in a couple of years. You don't have that time. You want somebody, you know, who's done the business in the Premier League for a couple of years.
Yeah,
and
like West Ham with Dawson. I saw Dawson play his first game for West Ham today. You buy experienced players.
Also, like Sheffield, if you see last season, they got a lot of these draws into wins and, you know, losses into draws on the shoulders of Dean Henderson. And they don't have that. I think Henderson last season was one of the best goalkeepers.
So they got weakened this year, not strengthened.
They got weakened.
But Neil, it's not even the problem with the goalkeeper. I think you can say that Henderson was very good for them. He was one of the top goalkeepers in the league last year. But they had nobody to score goals for them. Like,
so that's what I was thinking. I was going to ask you the next question about Sheffield. So you guys own Sheffield, right? You're the owners of Sheffield, and Christmas. It's about to be New Year's, and the transfer window is about open. So you guys said, well, we're not going to fire the coach. So what do you buy? What do you need? What does Sheffield need to buy to right the ship? Because they're only losing by like 1-0.
Yeah.
I think go and get someone like Origi on loan from Liverpool or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like
exactly. Do what Fulham did with Hudson, or Loftus-Cheek. You do that move. You rent some proven veterans who are out of favor. Maybe Dele Alli. Who knows? You get Dele Alli on a loan.
Actually, that won't be bad. I mean, 6 months, where is he going to go anyways? So I'm pretty sure Mourinho's made it very clear he's not going to
get Dele Alli, Harry Winks, and Serge Aurier.
all Spurs.
Martin, you can only have one player from a team.
Yeah, Martin. There's rules to this shit.
And Joe Hart.
Hilarious. So the next topic is Sam Allardyce. So let me just say how I feel about Sam Allardyce. And it's not really about Sam Allardyce, because Sam Allardyce today lost 5-0 with West Brom versus Leeds, right? So this is me pointing my finger at Steve Nichols and everybody. Is it Nichols or Nickel? At
Nickel.
ESPN.
Steve Nickel, yeah.
Who, when Man United beat Leeds, they're like, it's Leeds. They leave too much space, and it's easy to beat a team like that. Meanwhile, nobody had beaten Leeds like that. Like, Liverpool barely beat them. You know, teams and Leeds had lost games before, but not like that. But there's an agenda against Ali, so all of a sudden they minimalized Man United's loss. Man United's 6-2 win over Leeds to like, it's easy to beat a team like Leeds. But after that loss, Leeds has won its last 2 games, and today they scored 5 against Sam Allardyce's West Brom, who Liverpool drew with. So
They scored 4 because the first goal they scored themselves.
Hey man, five is 5, bro. It's called pressure. It's called pressure.
That was a funny goal, though.
Pressure creates diamonds and own goals. You know what I'm saying? So, what do you guys have to say about Sam Allardyce coming back?
I think switching Bilic for Big Sam, it's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, isn't it? Really,
it looked like his game looked like he bet on his own game.
I mean, like the Liverpool game was like classic Big Sam. Like they literally just put the whole team like 2 banks of defence like outside the edge of the box, and Liverpool didn't have any answers. But then they became more adventurous once they got a foothold in the game. They weren't, 2 or 3 goals down. So, and then, they play for set pieces and see what they can get. But then, I mean, today, but I don't think really, for me, that, like I say, the whole rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, that squad isn't good enough, no matter who you put in charge. Like they didn't back Bilic in the summer. They didn't really let him make any big signings. Like they got Diangana from West Ham permanently, who was already there on loan, and they signed Ivanovic, who's like 100 now. So, what were you expecting, really?
And on the bench they have Grosicki, one of the best scorers in history of Polish national team. They're not playing.
Oh, that's where they're going wrong.
So Ivanovic age is finally catching up with his hair. So, and that's not a good sign.
He was slow for the Premier League 6 seasons.
He was on the bench
ago.
today, though. He was on the bench.
That's why he left.
No, I mean that's what they gave him in the summer. That's what they gave Bilic in the summer. They gave. I think the kid on loan from Chelsea is quite good, but he's not. Yeah. He's not a player that will keep you up. Gallagher, he's a good player. Like he's
a good player.
Goals, I think. But it's hard. He'll learn from this, but he's not going to lead a team. Ivanovic is too old, and they signed Diangana permanently from West Ham. Like, really, what are you expecting with this group of players? Really,
exactly.
I like Gallagher. He's a standout. Yeah. Like he's going to stay in the Premiership no matter what happens to West Brom.
In order to stay up, they have to take on loan Joe Hart, Dele Alli, Harry Winks, and Serge Aurier.
Oh boy, same responses before. And so the next thing is, what do you guys think about Leeds? Two wins in a row.
Fun to watch. They're a fun to watch team. Mid-table team. Probably they'll finish around like 8th or 9th place. Bielsa is making football, making football fun again, for sure.
I think it's the right. I mean, their style of play is good enough for them to stay up, and great fun to watch as a neutral. But I would hate to support a team like that. Like I'd be in the hospital half the time. But they will have these days, and they can make use of. I think the real challenge for Leeds will be, because I'm pretty sure that they will stay up this season. I think what they do, if they can, how does this style of play translate to playing with better players? I think that'll be really interesting to see maybe next season, because I think right now they're still having a lot of dead wood from players who aren't probably good enough at this level.
Yeah, I think they need to upgrade the defence a little bit, and also I don't think the goalkeeper is good enough for the Premier League. Like he's a really good shot stopper, but like he's a little bit shaky sometimes with the ball at his feet, and also high balls. Like against Burnley, he was terrible the other day. Like he was awful. So I think they need an upgrade there as well. But like you say, they'll stay up comfortably.
Yeah. I agree with you on the goalkeeper, but I don't think they need to upgrade him. I just think by next year, after one season of Premiership play, he will be upgraded. And I think
it might be like when De Gea first arrived.
That's where I think he is at. Like I think this guy has great
instincts. He's a good shot stopper.
Yeah. So I think the air shit is some shit you learn, But he's a good shot stopper.
Also, don't forget one important thing, that the fact that they're doing so well without fans, and Leeds United historically have great fans.
So when those fans come in,
when those fans come in, they'll be unbeatable at home, pretty much. The way they play. Because
too bad that's going to be next season. That's never going to happen this season.
Also, I think one big wild card when it comes to Leeds is that this is the longest Marcelo Bielsa has stayed at a club. So, how long is that gonna continue.
That's his project.
Because the moment he goes, like we are talking about a style of play that's absolutely custom made for Bielsa. You don't know if the next manager coming in is going to be able to,
Well,
do
maybe
something
there will be
with
no
that.
next manager. Maybe he'll stay 10 years there, like Arsene Wenger at Arsenal. Who knows? Because
Yeah.
from watching the Amazon special about the Leeds United from a season ago, it looks like he pulls all the strings at this club, and they have full trust in him. And why shouldn't they? I mean, he brought them back to the Premier League. He brought them back to the bright side of football, and they're doing well. I don't see any reason for them to part ways with Bielsa.
Shit, in less than a week, he brought them back from 6-2 pounding.
Yeah. But you know what?
He is the sort of guy though throughout his career where he can have one like explosive argument with someone and he's gone. Like,
I don't even.
But
I don't even think it's a
about-
case of. I don't even think it's a case of Leeds sacking him. He might just want to, up and go on his own. Like he is a temperament.
No. It looks like that's his place. Plus, one coach told me something in the past. It's better to lose one game 5-0 than 5 games 1-0. So they lost one big, but then, as you said it, they just won the 2 next games, so they collected 6 points out of 9. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and that's how I feel. That statement that you just said is how I feel about Spurs, but also
you're saying the Spurs would do better to have Barcelona Bielsa than Jose Mourinho.
I said, well, he needs to get some attacking going. You know what I'm saying? And win some games. But also, damn, I kind of forgot what I was saying. But fuck it, it'll come back or it won't. But let's go to the next topic since I can remember. It's written down. So Klopp won the league, right? And it feels like his attitude is changing. Like I felt like his attitude was as a motivational person, was on an upward trajectory, and he dragged the team up with his motivational attitude. But do you think his attitude now, especially after the West Brom draw and other recent results, do you think his attitude is gonna? It seems like it's a different attitude than last season. And will this attitude help his team or hurt his team? Because is he, as a coach, showing, when you get anxious and you act out, are you basically alluding to your team that you don't believe that they can win this thing again?
Well, I think they'll win this thing again. Yeah, I think they will. I don't see them not winning.
They got a lot of injuries.
But they still find players who are playing well. The problem is they sometimes lose interest against weaker teams. They lost 2 points against Fulham and 2 points against West Brom at home. So sometimes they're just not respecting teams enough. But they beat the teams they have to beat. And the game against Man U, which is I think a week or 2 weeks from now, will be the crucial win for them if they win.
But I'm looking at Klopp. Like, your leader has to have a certain energy to coach the team at its maximum potential. I feel like Klopp's energy is changing and will ultimately affect the attitude of his team, and not in a positive way. Because at the end of games, he has a lot of problems. And normally when people like lash out and point at things, it means a lack of confidence. So that's the question, really.
I would actually say he's overconfident, not enough confident. I think that's why they conceded against West Brom and Fulham. They didn't win those games. It's because they were overconfident.
I agree in those moments, but go ahead.
Because they beat anybody else.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the attitude has always been there, but it probably got hidden a bit more when they were winning all the time. I think at that level, all the managers have that. You look at Pep, like Pep has the outbursts now and again as well when things aren't going great. It's maybe a little bit of a sign of the pressure on him, but Liverpool are an interesting one this season. I think they've really missed Thiago against some of these smaller teams, like the Fulham game and the West Brom game, because he unlocks those teams.
Yeah,
they miss a player that they've only played with twice, and they won a league without.
Yeah, I think the midfield just isn't.
What's wrong with him? What's his injury?
Yeah, I'm not sure because
Richarlison.
He was out with COVID for a while, and then
but then he got back, and then Richarlison now took him out
in
that Everton game.
Oh,
in the 4th minute, and he hasn't come back since.
Brazilian on Brazilian crime. All right.
Yeah, I think at the moment though, just sometimes when they're playing against those teams who sit off,
Right.
like the West Brom game, the midfield, like Henderson. I mean, he's a leader and he works hard, but he's not going to pick apart a team like that. Wijnaldum's more like making those runs into the box. He's not the sort of the player that does that. So I think Thiago would have made a difference in those games.
Let me ask you all a question, and I've said this before. Is Liverpool playing 3 CDMs?
Well, none of their midfielders have any creative or goal-scoring responsibilities. So I don't think it's necessarily 3 CDMs, but they're definitely John Henderson plays that box-to-box ball-winning kind of role. And Wijnaldum pretty much, because of Klopp's system that needs constant, pressing and counter-pressing and winning the ball up, and they literally defend from the front.
Right. So 6 CDMs.
Yeah, I mean, you can say you can say DMs if the opposite of not being an attacking midfielder is being a defensive midfielder. But I don't think it's quite as binary as that.
They have defensive forwards.
Yeah. Yeah, but to be fair, you can get away with that when you have 2 of the most creative players in the league on as your fullbacks.
Yeah. So and that's where they're.
Yeah.
So they're playing 5 CDMs. All right.
No, I mean those are literally 2 players in one, like Robertson and Trent, which I think they're. But I think Klopp realizes that as an issue, which is why he did go ahead and get Thiago this season. He does realize that it gets a little monotonic at times. So I think he really does want somebody like Thiago in midfield. I think he even ideally wants somebody like Oxlade-Chamberlain or Naby Keita in midfield to do what Wijnaldum typically does. But those 2 guys can never stay fit, I guess.
I think as well, like Fabinho's contribution to midfield is underrated as well. Obviously, this year he's had to step back into the back line as well. But he's kind of a hybrid. He's kind of a hybrid midfielder because he does everything.
Right. But Willie, he might go back to his natural position if they buy Vestergaard from Southampton, which is the rumor, right? That they're gonna get him next week. So, right? No, I mean, he didn't play. He didn't play today. I guess that's why, right?
We've been keeping clean sheets without him, so.
So Lee, you would give him up? He's having a great season.
I mean, everyone's got their price. So.
I don't think Southampton is the selling team. Since that season where they almost got relegated, they're not
to Liverpool.
Team.
That's because we haven't had anyone worth selling in that time, really.
Yeah, true.
Apart from like Ings and Ward-Prowse now, and Højbjerg obviously last season went to Tottenham, but
I don't even think Højbjerg was worth selling.
I actually want Chelsea to go get a Southampton player.
Who?
Bring Rant home. Because we can do with somebody as a backup at left back. I don't trust the backups we have, and if Ben Chilwell has an injury at any point, I want somebody who's Premier League proven, and probably won't complain that much about game time because he's past 30 now.
Yeah, but
he's 32, 33.
Yeah, 33. Yeah, so
I always liked that guy.
Yeah,
he's solid. He's so consistent.
He knows what he's doing.
He's like a 7 out of 10 every game.
Exactly. Right. So. I was looking at what could be a potential, because I'm pretty sure we need somebody as a backup left back, and Ryan Bertrand is, I think he ticks all boxes.
All right.
Because you want somebody for your backup to be good, but not so good that he wants to play every game.
Yeah, he'd be happy to come back to a contender, even though they're all at the same amount of points right now.
He'll be the only Champions League winner from Munich in our team if he comes back.
Yeah.
but I don't want to dismiss the Vestergaard thing. I think it's a good buy for Liverpool. I mean, I really think it solves a lot of problems because they were thin in the back in some of those games, and they need him. They actually do need him, and he will play for them.
He can be a bit of a liability with a high line though, because he's so slow. But
what would be a price for him?
He's not good enough.
You think?
What would be the going price for somebody like Vestergaard?
25-30 million probably.
That's not that.
I think we bought him for around 15. So,
but that tells you why he's not good enough. You know what I mean?
We'll see.
So this might be a Martin question. Will Tottenham Fulham happen tomorrow?
It's like getting a rabbit out of the hat. You know, hard to say. You know, it will be probably last minute decision, I guess.
And you said earlier you don't want it to happen. Why? It's Fulham.
No, it's a joke, you know, because we had 2 points out of the last 12 possible, so 2 draws and 2 losses.
Are you worried that Scott Parker might outcoach Mourinho from his couch?
Oh, listen, Scott Parker is doing a good job, and Mourinho already said. Mourinho said yesterday that Fulham are a very dangerous team, which gave me like cold thrills, because that means he will play 8 defensive players against Fulham. So no, but we have to beat Fulham. You know, we have to beat them, and I think we'd actually beat them pretty comfortably, because it's not just Mourinho. Mourinho is not on the field. There are not 11 Mourinhos on the field. There's Son, Kane, and the other guys with the pride that are good enough to beat Fulham for sure.
Last question. Who do y'all got? Newcastle versus Liverpool tomorrow?
It's a tricky one, because that's the team that Liverpool might not take seriously. And Newcastle are a grinding team. They're not really nice. They're not a good Saturday afternoon watch. I wouldn't put them on my pay-per-view line in the first place. Newcastle, but they sometimes get the results. They're boring to watch, but they sometimes do get results.
No, they've been getting a lot of results. So it's not. So it's just that I would just go Liverpool, because Newcastle has injuries and they have COVID victims that can't play right now. Some of those players are their best players. And I think one player has a red card, and one player with COVID is their captain. Another one is Saint Maximum. So I think Liverpool is doing a better job of handling their injuries. So I'm gonna go Liverpool. What'd you say, Lee or Neil?
Yeah, I think Liverpool win that one and they score 2 or 3 goals. I think Newcastle will put up a fight, but it won't be like a 5 or 6-0. But I think Liverpool win fairly easily.
Okay. Even though you've seen how the season is going for all the top teams, it's just not easy to just like beat teams. Like Newcastle started this season like pretty strong.
Yeah, I think Liverpool they'll have it in this game though. I think they'll be extra fired up as well after the West Brom game. I think they'll do it comfortably.
What do you think, Neil?
I mean, Liverpool should win this game. Newcastle is one of those teams which is like absolutely in the middle of nowhere. It's not like they're I don't think they're going to get pulled into a relegation fight, so it's not going to be completely bashed to the wall, but which should suit Liverpool, especially after Klopp's comments against the way Big Sam played. Did you guys hear that? He said, like, nobody expects a team to play 10 men behind the ball, which I felt like was something he just said for the cameras, because I'm pretty sure everybody knew that that's what Sam Allardyce was going to do against Liverpool. So either way, it's like he's got the time now to like come up with something that a team that is behind the ball, to beat such a team. But with the injuries that they've had, you would back Liverpool to win all of these games, but again, there can be inconsistency too.
Well, hopefully that thing that he comes up with is Thiago Silva. And what happened to Shaqiri again? Where where do they hide Shaqiri most of the season? And then bring him back out and then put him back in.
I think he's there. You just can't see him because he's pretty short.
If Fulham or West Bromwich, want to stay at, they need to get on loan Shaqiri.
Oh,
But that's the thing. I don't think anybody can coach Shaqiri and get the most out of him. It has to be the right coach. He has to take the scenario that he's in very seriously, or you won't get the most out of him.
For a team like fighting for relegation, he's perfect because he's a one-man show. He would.
Yeah, if Klopp was coaching that team. So we've answered all the questions. Like everybody, just tell me. This is the end of 2020. It's the last podcast for 2020. I don't know if it's a memory or what is your, what about football for 2020 like resonates with you the most, or a person, a thing, a moment, a team. Go ahead, Martin.
First Polish player to win the Player of the Year in the world, in the history of our beloved country. Robert Lewandowski, that should be the highlight.
Because Messi and Ronaldo got old?
And because, he's not that much younger. He's 32 years old.
That is true.
And he won the Champions League. So that was, I think.
That is true, but he wouldn't have won if they were 32.
Maybe. But also lack of Euro 2020. It was unprecedented thing, that happened, that they called off such a big tournament. Never happened before in the past, and it happened.
Yeah. Neil?
I think something on the back of what Martin said, I think this year was significant that we finally saw, and I think it's going to continue this way, the drop off of the Ronaldo Messi era. I think it's over. And
Ronaldo, he's scoring every game.
But I don't think the influence that Ronaldo and Messi had over, taking their teams to Champions League semi-finals, finals, or even Ronaldo scoring every game. Where are Juventus right now on the league?
Good point.
They may not win. I don't think either Barcelona or Juventus might win. They might actually finish a season without a trophy for the first time in their careers. So I think that was pretty significant. And then from the team I support, I think it is good to see that a lot of things have been in flux, and one people are like Lampard out, and then second week saying Chelsea's title contender, stuff like that. I think for me personally, I've just been very happy that a long overdue transition, which I don't think we've had since the 2012 Champions League win, is finally happening. And it's not just, cosmetic makeshift stuff that's going on. Whether Lampard stays to see the end of it or not is still, the jury's still out, but at least a clear effort is being made to have a long overdue transition.
What you got, Lee?
I'll go all the way back to January, before pre-COVID, all of that. We went and played Leicester away at the King Power Stadium. So this is last season. I went there as well with the away fans, and we won 2-1, which was, for me, that was like to put it to bed, to finish the ghost of the 9-0. But pre-game, when the warm-ups were happening on the field, they were playing the 9-0 on the TV, on the big screens in the stadium. and they turned the commentary up really loud as well. And the Leicester fans in the stadium were all cheering every goal. And our players were on the field warming up while this is happening. And you could just, you could see the intensity in the warm-up. It was like, yeah, we're going to do this today. And we went 1-0 down in that game, and all their fans are singing we want 9. And then we turned it around to 1-2-1. So the whole away end's just going crazy. Everyone's singing, stick your 9-0 up your ass, stuff like that. It was a good feeling. That was the best I felt about football this year, I think.
Which actually, Lee, had a big impact on Neil's team, because if Leicester didn't lose that game, Leicester would have finished ahead of Chelsea for the 4th place, right?
I think it was a 4-point difference, so we would have been fine.
You sure?
But yeah, the Leicester had a lot of these near misses. So yeah, it could have been one of those games. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's this is non-football, but and then it will lead into football. Like if I told you at the beginning of the year that Kobe Bryant died at the beginning of the year, and that story would fade compared to what's going on now, that would be a crazy ass statement. But as far as football, well, there's COVID and how it's affected the world, and there's the election and how that's affected the world, and how the COVID affected the election, and how the election or how our presidency and our politicians have politicized COVID on both sides. How sports, football, just how Man U as a team got saved by COVID. As bad as COVID has been, it has definitely been positive for some people, individuals, corporations, or people. And I think about, like, Pogba was injured before Project Restart, and after Restart, he had time to recover and come back into a team, and we went on an unbeaten run. And if it wasn't for COVID, Solskjaer might not be our coach right now, because I don't think we would have finished top 4 or 3rd. And now, because of that, he's still our coach, and we're building a team, and the board is not exactly giving him everything he wants, but they still are spending money, as Neil pointed out to me. And, Man United might do something this year. They might win a cup if they don't scrap them, or, they might put themselves in a position for next year to make a legit run at the title. So it's just been a long time since Man United they've come second before, but we knew that's all they were going to come. We knew they didn't stand a chance when they came second to win that title. But I can see next year Man United, like, for the first time since Ferguson, like, mounting a title challenge. So I can see that. And I enjoy the podcast and talking to you guys and the people that hit me. And some people sent me some free shit this year. I got like a Brazil shirt and so much. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the people that comment on YouTube or just text. And I just like how football and sport brings us all together. Like, we didn't know each other before, even though, we're all comics. Like, it was the football part of it that brought us together. And yeah, so, I just enjoyed doing the podcast, and we'll keep doing that. And we did it when there was no football. So, I appreciate you guys. And thank you, Emma, for producing this episode. And thank you, Aaron, who just had his baby. And he's on paternity leave. He's doing his thing. Congrats to you and your wife. And everybody out there, be safe, man. Just love each other. You know what I'm saying? It's free. That's some free shit. And it's some good free shit. So let's just roll around in that. And I love you all, and I'll see you next year.